There you go. Enjoy that one.
No.
A little bit sultry, a little bit low key.
No, it wasn't. What do you mean? That was the least fucking seductive thing I've ever heard in my life.
Listen, man, you take the NULLSCORE podcast into the bedroom and it's just going to be bam, bam, bam all night. It's just that voice. It'll work. It'll work wonders.
Bap, 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 you mean me fucking bashing it over the head with a fucking hammer? Then yes. That's what those horns sounded like to me.
That's exactly. Well, maybe, yeah. You ever seen those little soft hammers that do the whole thing when you hit stuff?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the squeaky
I feel like
ones.
I feel like maybe that's what it sounded like. It's just someone throwing one of those down a hallway.
Your fucking mouth brass sections to me are like a fucking hen's night. They've ordered a male stripper, and he turns up dressed like a lawyer. Of course, it's you. This is you in this scenario. You've turned up in your fucking
right.
lawyer
Yeah,
outfit,
just to remove any confusion.
You start taking your kid off, and they're like, "Oh yeah, fucking serve me some papers, daddy," and then you fucking start ripping your suit off and shit. And you're wearing one of those fucking those G-strings that have a crocodile head at the front.
But it's a gavel. But it's a gavel.
And it's just the least fucking sexy thing. They're like, oh, mate. Yeah. This is your horns versus a real brass section. Maybe we should have paid a little bit more for a fucking stripper.
We'll hire a guy on Fiverr.
just rip.
Guy on Fiverr. He's going to do a better job than you. What the fuck, man?
Just rip the old ABC News intro.
Yes! That would be so good.
That's terrible.
All right. Welcome to NULLSCORE, a podcast where we chase our pets down the street while screaming their name in panic, hanging out the side of an XY Commodore, while our co-host writes the intro for us. My name is Hamish, and this is my co-host, Scuffed Jason Momoa. How does it feel to go from being Drogo to being a guy whose power is to talk to fish and shit? I'm impressed, both because I was running around all morning and you wrote that intro for me, but not only that, it's exactly the kind of intro I would write. That's it.
I've seen enough of your stuff that I kind of know your writing style a little bit now.
Yep. Way too lengthy lead in. That's it. That's all you need.
That's you.
And mate. we are also joined by Eyeho1eman. Hello.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Oof, damn, dude. Shit. We're sitting here thinking that we got that radio voice. You're blowing us out of the water here.
I'm an audio engineer for a reason, right?
Yeah, I suppose you'd hope so, right? That's like whenever I'm in Twitch chat and I misspell everything, people are like, "How is this guy a lawyer?" Because I just get too excited, I type shit too fast.
It's funny, man.
I'm like, yay, Tarkov, and people are like, "Guess Vis really likes Tarkov." I guess that's his thing.
You missed the A. It's just Trukov.
Trukov.
It's funny when you say that, radio voice, because now that you have a good mic and you're unleashing your full, your full Eunice
meme.
You remind me of the fucking morning show hosts on fucking FM stations.
Yeah.
And Eyeho1eman reminds me of the AM stations that play all the old shit from the 60s.
I play all the smooth jazz.
Yeah. Whereas I'm like, we're here waking up with Tim.
You got Triple J in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. I don't
know
the
what
goal
the
is
fuck
to
that makes
eventually
me.
get to be Hamish and Andy. That's it. That's the goal.
No.
It can be done. It can be done. Luke and Lewis, the two Aussie comedians, did it. Mm-hmm. They got to that level.
Yeah,
I've
reckon
never
you guys
even
could do
heard
it.
of them. I've never heard those names before.
Yeah. Well, they obviously didn't get to Hamish and Blake level. Yeah.
That's it. Okay, so what's the agenda today, Jim? Because do we want to talk about where I was this morning, or do we want to jump into it?
Tell us about your life, Hamish. What the fuck happened to you?
Okay, so I was late to podcast this morning, all right? Eyeho1eman and Titan were all set up and ready to go I assume at 10. I don't know because I was out and about, right? Basically, when I go to film podcast, right, I do my stream Friday night, and if it's like a really, really long stream, like sometimes it's kind of like rough in the morning, I'll just like go out and get some food and then like come back, just get like takeaways. But today we were going to go out and like sit down and have brekkie, right? Because I finished my stream at like 10 p.m. last night. Like I only did my usual 4-hour slot. I didn't extend, go overtime. So anyway, went out, got food, came back, and my dog, Ollie, right, is like a little red cattle dog cross with something, okay? We know that the mother is a red cattle dog. We don't know what the father is, right? But she's getting big now. So we're led to believe it could be like a bull Arab or a Great Dane or something, right? Anyway, when we come home, usually she jumps out of the car and she likes to meander around in the front yard, just like sniffing stuff, because she doesn't usually go in the front yard because it's not fenced off and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then eventually she wanders back into the house and we're like, cool, great, right? So Red and I left the door open for her, went in. I'm drinking like my like little... I've got like a different brand coffee today because I had no time to make a freaking killer coffee. And she is meandering out the front, and I'm sipping there, drinking my friggin' tradie special. And Red's like, "Where's Ollie?" I was like, "I don't know." Like, isn't she out the front? She's like, "Yeah, but she's been out there for like 5 minutes." I'm like, "Ooh." Go out the front, dog's gone. Right? So I'm like, "Oh no!" It's like 20-10 at this point, right? So Red's like, I'm seeing her like begin to freak out. I'm like, look, stay at the house, check the surrounding area. I'll get in the car, right? I get in the car, go out, and I'm doing laps, like going up to the park, like checking all the areas the dog would go to. And then I'm like, wait, no, dogs don't think that far. They're probably just sniffing shit close to the house. So I'm like doing loops around streets close to the house. I end up coming back home. She's just in the neighbor's house, right? So we ended up like going up, and like, you have to remember, so my neighbors, they're like, the guys on up the hill, we never really spoke to them a huge amount, right? But the level of interactions that I've had with this house has been I've had 3 separate interactions with the people at that house. One was when I was collecting my bin, and he was collecting his bin at the same time. And I was like, sup? And he's like, hey, my name's Gary. And I was like, hey, my name's Hamish. And he's like, cool. And then he went back to his house, right? The second interaction was he had a really super loud party and he was playing a whole bunch of music, and I didn't get to sleep until like 2, 3, right? I didn't say anything to him. I just knew that he really liked Nicki Minaj, okay?
Okay.
The third interaction I had with him was his car was on fire in his driveway and the police came to put it out.
Wait, the police
That
came to put
escalated
it
quickly.
out?
Literally, the police, the fire brigade, they had an ambo there very briefly, but then the ambo fucked off. But the car was on fire. Like, we could smell burnt rubber and shit. And so Red and I are like, what the hell is going on? It's like, is our neighbor like involved in like a gang dispute? Is he like a drug dealer? Like, what's going on? Like, because it wasn't even like that. Like, it's difficult to get a car to light on fire, right? Like, the whole thing was up in flames.
No, it isn't.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, right?
Don't ask me why I know that.
And a detective came to our house the following day, and he was like, "Oh, friggin', did you see any suspicious activity?" And I was like, "No, dude, I was playing games." He's like, "Oh, really? What game were you playing?" I was like, "If you give me like 5 minutes, I can check my Twitch clips and I can tell you exactly which game I was playing."
Relevant?
I think he was just trying to be nice. He's just trying to be relatable.
Oh, no.
Like some cops are okay like that, but I mean, you know, it's only until you're getting arrested that they start doing shit that they shouldn't be doing. Anyway, we then went up and looked at his house. Now, the house looks abandoned, right? Like, there's long yellow grass off to the side. There was like a laundry basket full of clothes and shit that was just like, how do I explain this? You know how like when you leave it out for a long time, the clothes kind of get like stiff, like crusty,
They go hard
kinda?
and crusty, yeah.
Yeah.
like a towel.
That's what the washing.
You left your fucking beach towel out on the line, forgot about it. The wind blew it off into the corner somewhere.
Yeah, but
Lost
like
track
a
of it.
woolen sweater was like that.
Oh, no.
And then like all the windows had this like you know how when like windows like super old they get that like white dusty sort of film around the edges.
Yeah.
They were like that, and it was just it looked like an abandoned house, right? And I was kind of like up there, like looking for my dog, like holy shit, like. Not only could there be snakes and shit in the long grass, but like, what if I'm traipsing around this dude's house being like, Ollie, and some guy comes out with a fucking rag and a lighter and tries to put me on fire. So I end up just calling out, and she just appears out of nowhere. Like, I honestly, I'm not entirely certain which direction she came from, but she just sat down next to me. And I was like, great, thanks. Just threw her over the shoulder. I went back to the house. I left my phone on the counter. So I end up like picking up my phone, and it's just two like Ugandan knuckles emojis from you. Like, hey man, we're waiting. And I'm like, oh shit. So I like have to like get my food and stuff and run in here. So I was late to podcast this morning because I was going to find my dog, and I had to go on an adventure through my crazy neighbor's backyard.
I just wanted to I want to go back to that cop. What game were you playing?
The one that asked what game were you playing?
I was playing a bit of Warzone. Oh, sweet. Fucking add me. Here's my Battle.net. Or like...
Could you imagine?
Do you fucking cops in Mount Isa get that starved for like just a social life? They start trying to make friends on call-outs.
The other, like, have you ever had a situation where like I get this a couple of times, right? When people ask me what game I'm playing at the moment, and I think for somebody that is like very much into the game scene, it's usually easy to explain, right? Like if I'm sitting here and they're like, "What game are you playing?" I'll be like, "Oh, Hearthstone," or Total War, or Escape from Tarkov, right?
Yeah, but if you say Tarkov to most people, they're like, "Oh,
huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't
like,
know
what?
that." I'm like,
Yeah,
so what is it like? It's like, oh, it's a shooter. I'm like, oh, like Fortnite. Like, no, it's nothing like Fortnite. It's nothing
think exactly
like
the opposite of Fortnite, funnily enough. I find myself lying sometimes. Like, they'll be like, what game are you playing at the moment? And you go, oh, Valorant. Just yep, COD, Halo.
Just tell them to shut up.
Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, yeah, I know that one. That's the one with the green man. And I'm like, sure. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
Yep. I get that all the time. So, like, yeah. Because I have people that don't know my stuff. Like, my dad watches my stream. And so he'll, like, ring me up. And he's like, I'm learning a lot about Legends of Runeterra. I'm like, that's great, Dad. How much do you know about League? And he's like, still fuck all. And I'm like, that sounds about right. But he's pretty good. Like, my dad will play, like, he plays, like, Destiny with the boys on, like, Friday nights. Him and his other mates get together, bunch of blokes. And I think one of his mates' wife. And they all go do, like, raids on Destiny and stuff.
That's sick.
Yeah, they were playing Borderlands for a little while there. And it sounds pretty cool.
See, it used to, I don't know, man, it used to kind of bother me seeing like other people, don't know, doing stuff with their dads, and my dad just fucking, like, he just never liked anything that I liked. Everything was stupid and shitty. And now he's like, I don't know, he's fucking, whatever, 60 something, almost 100, nearly dead. He's decided now that he wants to pick up guitar. I'm like, all right, well, I mean, you can't feel your fucking fingers most of the time, so this is going to be really frustrating for you. Like, you're gonna have to go off hearing, and your hearing's fucked as well, or at least you've got selective hearing, maybe. So
Potentially.
Oh man, it's just fucking funny. Like, he keeps sending me songs, saying, "Can you teach me this?" I'm like, "Have you been practicing what I showed you already?" No. Like, well then, no, I can't teach you that fucking song because you're not learning the basics. You have to learn the boring shit first. If your hands aren't coordinated enough to pick like 2 notes consecutively, how the fuck am I going to teach you to play something more intricate?
Yeah. One day he just sends you like Through the Fire and the Flames or something like that. You're like, yeah, sure, Dad.
Not. That's not
Why
his
not?
kind of thing. What he wants me to teach him, there's a particular style of music that he's interested in. And he's going to be like most people who start learning guitar. They'll start learning one thing and then they'll just branch off into all sorts of other shit. But right now he's adamant that the only thing he's ever going to want to play is country folk songs. I'm like, okay, Dad.
What about you? Eyeho1eman. What about your dad? Does he play
Yep.
games? Does he show an interest in what you do?
Yeah, he did when I was younger. He inspired me to play guitar because he was playing Whitesnake riffs all night.
Oh, okay.
And then video games, yeah, pretty much. He got the Nintendo 64 back in our house. Back in the day when it first came out. Yeah.
Yes.
And then he started building PCs, and that's it. History from there.
It's pretty interesting. Like, I think I'm yet to meet somebody that built their own PC and then still defers to consoles for a lot of gaming stuff. It seems like that seems to be a big changing point, is because once you sort of have an appreciation for the fact that a PC just has, umpteenth interchangeable parts. I say that, but there's probably only like 10 things that you can change.
The options for those 10 slots or whatever. The options for those 10 or so slots is just so vast that.
Yeah, and it's also like you have all the. It's also that how like you build something with your own hands. You got that kind of appreciation. I had that with my PC. Like, there's a video where I my first PC that I built, which is in the case that I've got now, actually. Like, this thing is probably like the third or fourth iteration, because I just constantly change out parts. I think by now, every part will have been swapped over except the PSU and the case. But yeah, there's a video of me when my PC first posts, and I like throw my hands up in the air and I'm like, "It's alive!" It's great. It's
I've
awesome.
noticed there's a lot of crossover in. So I don't know whether it's a new thing or not, but there's a lot of crossover in like those kind of guys who build their own PC. They understand why. Once they've done it like once or twice, they understand why that's a thing, and the value in it. Then they either were before or later on become car guys as well, because they see how it's a very similar sort of thing. Like, the body is just a shell. It's a case. Yeah, it's just a case. Yeah. And then engine, gearbox, all the fucking seats, the dash, the instrument cluster, all that shit can all just be changed for other parts, and you can kind of make whatever the fuck you want. I mean, the price difference is huge, but it's the same sort of idea.
Yeah.
It's all very modular.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
That customization
I think,
offers a huge degree of personalization for a vehicle.
Yeah.
Same with the PC.
I also think, like, I feel more. It's sort of weird. It's like, now that I know everything that can go wrong with my PC, you'd think that I would be. You think that I would be like more. You think I'd be more scared of things happening?
Mate, I've been building them for fucking years, and I'm still finding new things that can go wrong.
Well,
you don't know everything
true.
that can go wrong yet. Trust me.
That's true. That's true. But like, I think you feel more confident in like if anything
Your
goes
troubleshooting
wrong, like,
skills, you mean? Like, you have more confidence in going, okay, something's broken. I can probably figure out what it is and fix it.
Yeah, and it's also just nice to know, like, I mean, I tell this story all the time where I, like, got super drunk and upgraded my PC, right? I don't know if you were there for that when I...
Yeah, you bought 64 gigs of RAM. I was there.
Yeah, I did. RGB light-up RAM.
I was like, why did you do this?
It's
because
exactly...
I had money and I wanted it. Okay.
Because I'm pretty sure that my explanation was I could have sat down and worked it out and, like, properly figured it out. But drunk me just decided to throw money at the problem and see if it went away instead. And that's exactly what I did. And to be fair, the problem did go away, right? but yeah, it's like, it's one of those things where it's, you sort of like, you sit there and you go, okay, well, what do I want to do with it? For a car, it might be like, oh, I want to go drifting, whatever. But for a computer, it's like, oh, I want to edit video. What do I need? Well, I probably need RAM and a processor. And a decent GPU. I want a game. Well, CPU is not as important, but you still probably want a beefy GPU. I want to take and edit heaps of photos. Okay, well, you're going to need some hard drive space and a processor. Like, it's not crazy. It's like, just knowing what each bit does, I think, helps you out a fair bit. But
I'm pretty sure Jay's 2 cents covered this a while back, where now PCs are more
Good old JC Sands. When was the last time we
Fuck
mentioned
it.
him? I think it
Might
would have
have
been
been him.
the Harris drama
Yeah, probably.
when he and
I'm not sure if it was this time last year or even earlier than that, where he said he was saying that the term gaming PC is really starting to become kind of like useless. Like it's not really like a gaming PC can edit photos, videos. It can can be used
do it
in
all.
music production. You can do fucking everything. Yeah, like what you're talking about is just a capable PC, like a good PC.
just an enthusiast grade
Yeah.
computer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just kind of because, PCs or gaming is just pushing boundaries pretty heavily now. Like, have you seen some of the footage from Cyberpunk?
Yeah.
Oh,
I haven't seen the
That-
last one. I haven't seen the last one
That
that came
game
out. Supposedly
looks
it was really good.
incredible. And you know what they did? You remember when they did the release trailers in 2018 and everyone was like, "Holy shit, this game looks amazing."
Mm-hmm.
They've done a
did a
side-by-side
side-by-side, didn't
comparison.
they?
Yeah, for 2018 and 2020, and they just kicked it up like 3-4 notches.
Well, that old
like
that old trailer would have been done on a 1080 Ti or something, wouldn't it, at the time?
Probably.
Now it's running
Yeah.
on RTX shit. So
Yeah,
And you got ray
it's just-
tracing, DLSS now.
Yeah, and the game's taking forever to come out, right? But it's one of those ones where I'm very confident that by the time it gets here, I'm going to be like, dang, dude, you
I hope
did a
so.
good job.
I can't take another Duke Nukem forever. All right.
Oh, that would be so rough. They did what did they say? There was like some announcement. People were like, "Oh, wall running is being removed from Cyberpunk," and I'm like, if that's the deal breaker
Why?
for you, then I'm sorry, Chief. Like,
Why would it be
Yeah, I mean-
removed though? I don't know.
I don't know,
There might
maybe
be
just-
sections of the game where it breaks, like it makes progression too easy. It's like, here's this big intricate puzzle. Okay, but I can just climb this thing. I can vault this thing and then wall run, and I've
yeah.
skipped the entire section. Like
movement abilities will.
they might
always
try and
create
force you to
issues.
either have some sort of a fight or have like some diplomatic approach or something like that, or a certain item
Yeah.
that you might be able
Yeah.
to trade or whatever. But instead,
Like
you're like,
if
no, I
you-
can just like jump, just jump and run across this wall.
Yeah, like if you've ever watched Dishonored speed runs, have you ever seen those?
No,
Oh, shit!
Oh,
Even
they're
the
my
Doom
favorite.
Eternal speed runs, like
Yeah.
okay. So first of all, Dishonored speed runs are an absolute pleasure to watch. Right? I'm not a huge speed runner guy. Like sometimes I'll watch like the Mario 64 guys just to because they just dedicate themselves to that single game.
Yeah.
And every single bit of movement is just fluid. It's fantastic. But the Dishonored speedruns are like a spectacle, right? Because they're like teleporting and stabbing guys and throwing bottles, and then the guy that they stab next collides with the bottle and collides with another guy because they're like all predetermined. They've run that so many times. They know the most efficient route through that area. They're really, really cool to watch.
I just want to throw out there, I think Mario 64 speedruns are probably more impressive to me just because of how absolutely fucking terrible the 64 controller was. If you've dedicated your time to learning to speedrun a game using a fucking a weird trident shaped controller,
Yeah, wasn't there an analog stick underneath the controller?
no,
or
it's a
something
button.
No,
it's just
it's
a
a
button.
trigger.
It's
button,
like a trigger
right.
button, yeah. But still, it's just, I don't know who the fuck came up with that thing, but they hated humans.
The analog stick was the worst as well.
It was terrible. It
Yeah.
wore out really quick. You can still buy replacements on eBay. It's not even hard to find them. That's how bad they were. I think it was on. I was watching a Gamers Nexus video ages ago,
Yeah.
and Steve was going over this place that makes different controllers. But they made the. I think it was Hyperkin. I'm pretty sure it was Hyperkin. They made the Duke controller that I've had on stream.
The Duke controller.
Yeah,
The one that you gave your mate when he came over.
Gave my mate.
You know how you always have you had a console and then you had one scuffed controller which was this third party abomination.
Oh,
and that's
no,
the one
I
that
never
you
did
always
that.
gave to your mate.
I never did that because
okay.
those things are fine. I have one now. I have the Hyperkin one because they actually work for my hands. My hands are big enough that these are fine. These are comfortable.
Okay, I see. Right.
But anyway, they make a replacement 64 controller that's like a gamepad, just a normal fucking flat gamepad.
Yeah.
But I think they also make original ones. And Steve's comment, I think, was
if you like the original controller, I'm so sorry for whatever happened to you. I gotta find the clip and show you. But fuck, just when he said that, I was like, yeah, fuck that piece of shit. I used to hate arguing with people. Like, how can? Fair enough. 64 had a lot of really good games. It was fun. There was a lot of cool shit on it. But when I was faced with the option of like, do you want to hold the PlayStation controller or the 64 controller? PlayStation controller every time. Why the fuck would you choose to like, well, which buttons do I want to be able to reach? Because I can't reach them all at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Who
half the
designs a
skill is
controller
navigating
like
the
that?
controller. Overcoming the ergonomics is part of the mastery.
It's fucking terrible. It was so stupid.
Holy moly.
And they,
Yeah.
they came to that off the Super Nintendo controller, which was like, I suppose for that generation, perfect. Like, what was the other one? Mega Drive Genesis controller. That was okay.
Yeah, I think so.
But the 6 buttons, like, kind of in a row, wasn't good most of the time. For games that let you use a lot of them, it was kind of annoying. You'd kind of lose track. Whereas the Super Nintendo one was fine. The shoulder buttons, the 4, like, in a square. Not quite a square, but whatever. I don't know how they went from that to, like, let's just make this dumb fucking thing that, like, everyone's going to hate. They're going to have to use it because there's no other option.
pretty
Poseidon's
sure-
Trident.
Yeah.
The fucking trident shape.
I'd have to go and have a look because I'm pretty sure I read an article about the guy that designed the PlayStation X square triangle circle formation, and he talked about how everything had a purpose. So like square was like to open a map or a menu or something like that, and that's why it's a square. And X was like to select something, and circle was to say no, which, and then he assigned the colors as well. And he had real trouble convincing the Japanese that that's exactly the way that he wanted it, because the way that they represent like affirmative is with a circle.
Yeah.
It's like it's like a that's like yes, good, and then negative is with a X.
I remember that
That's
being
like
so
no.
frustrating, dude. Some games,
Yeah.
like I think Point Blank was one where you're going through menus and like circle would be yes, and it was just backwards to every other game. So like you're pressing X, like what the fuck? Oh, for Christ! Like fuck's sake!
Yeah.
I can't do anything in this game.
Yeah, so that was like a Japanese thing. Is he had to tell them, because Sony's the company that made it, and he was like, "Yep, X means yes, circle means no," and they're like, "You're wrong," and he's like, "No, I'm right, and you got to trust me on this."
This is how I designed the control for you, though. Like, yeah, we're just gonna reverse that.
Yeah, I'll find it and I'll talk about it more. But yeah, I remember the X and circle thing being backwards because. Yeah, my when I studied Japanese in school, my teacher had one of the it's like a ping pong paddle. One side had yes and one side had no, and on the opposite side was a button you could press, so you could face the yes side towards the class in his scenario, and then press the button, and then it would make a tick noise. It'd be like, yeah, good job. And it was like X and circle, and he pointed the circle at me, and it made a good noise, and I was like, "Huh?"
It made a good noise.
Well, it was like a good noise and a bad noise, and my Westerner brain was like, "The fuck's happening? Where's the tick? I don't understand." Yeah, so yeah, that was pretty interesting when I found that out. I was always wondered why that was that way, but there you go. The PlayStation controller is a little bit back to front.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's still probably. I think the original like DualShock shape that they kept for 3 consoles. The fact they kept it for 3 generations is pretty telling. Like it was. That's like
Did a good job.
that's the shape that I would always go back to. I'm not really much of a PlayStation fanboy, I don't think, because I prefer a lot of games that came out in the original Xbox. There's a lot of good only on Xbox games. And Dreamcast is always going to be my favorite console, even though the controller was a bit fucking strange to use sometimes. But I don't know, man. I guess most things are an upgrade from like early consoles, which are like a fucking dial or like telephone button fucking layout, and or like I don't know who the fuck decided rectangles, like the NES and the Master System, those fucking rectangles with 2 buttons. This is perfect.
Maybe
This is going
just-
to be perfectly comfortable. The fucking Master System ones were the worst. They had the cord coming out the side. Like, where your fucking hand's supposed to go. The
God
real early
damn.
ones had the cord out the side.
Yeah.
How did they think people were going to be holding these things? Like, directly from the bottom? Oh, no, my hand's too big for that.
It's like that. What was that? That Apple mouse that would charge from the bottom of the mouse. Did you see that?
No.
Yes, it was like some Mac mouse that was like wireless, and the charging
I know
port
the
was on
one.
the bottom of the mouse. Yeah.
The
It's like-
white touchscreen one, the magic
Yeah,
mouse.
yeah, exactly, yeah. And then someone was like,
Stupid
someone's like, Steve's been dead for 2 years and you fuck it up this quick.
Already you did something fucking dumb.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty funny. I was-
Do we want to talk about Alinity's fucking spaz out?
Well,
Oh my goodness.
I mean, we can, but also halftime.
Oh, mate. Do you want a cup of
Well, that was
coffee that's
quick.
perfectly drinkable black so your lactose intolerant bitch ass doesn't have to spend an hour shitting your guts out as punishment for wanting to enjoy your drink?
Well, do you want a cup of coffee that'll let you smell everything at the same time forever?
No, not really. Do you want a cup of coffee that'll open up your third eye and let you divine the reason the doc was banned?
I actually do want that
Oh,
cup of
interesting.
coffee. Can I have that, please? Do you want a cup of coffee that'll make you feel like you drank an entire thermos of coffee?
Do you want a cup of coffee that will make you run faster down the street as you catch your dog?
I would like that cup of coffee. That would be great. Well, Killer Coffee won't do any of those things. Oh, actually, it'll probably do like 2 out of 5
I
of
think the
those
first
things.
one. I think the first one will be fine. It's drinkable black.
Okay, so it's drinkable black. It doesn't let you smell everything at the same time forever. Unless one of you guys want to alert me to the reason that Doc was banned. I don't think it's achieved that. It does occasionally make you feel like you drank an entire thermos of coffee.
And darker side
And I
does,
would-
yeah.
And I would wager to say that you do run faster. So 60%. 60% success rate.
Hey, that's a pass. It's a solid C+.
That's exactly. Yeah. He's going to the next he's going to uni. Look at him go. God, Killer Coffee.
My son, Killer
I-
Coffee, is going to uni. I'm so
I
proud of
legit
him.
I've been considering the past few days of just like getting all of the YouTube clips and putting together in Premiere and shipping them off to Killer Coffee. Being like, sponsor us, please.
We've been kind of making fun of your coffee for a while, but also we really like it.
We also really like it, yeah. So all we want to do is officially say that we're sponsored. That's it.
Just give us like a sticker and then like just send us out a sticker each and we'll be happy with that. Sponsored.
Probably, yeah. I'd be pretty happy. I'd put it up on my wall. I'd just slap it next to the...
Stick it on the wall.
Yeah, I'd just
Fucking
slap
lunatic
it.
stick stickers on the wall.
It's all cinder blocks, so who the fuck cares?
Normal people hanging pictures and fucking like maybe putting a flag up and you're just like, oh, I got this Killer Coffee sticker. I'm just going to put it right here in the center.
Slap it right there.
Just poof, like that. People
Not
see
even
it on
straight.
stream, they're like, what have you done? Not even on straight,
I would
yeah.
be able to
I'll
fucking
be on
see
an
it.
angle.
Like, what's that thing? Have you got something spilt on your wall? Like, oh no, that's my Killer Coffee sticker. What the fuck?
So,
Fuck's
what's the
sake.
salinity business? What's the go here?
All right, so there's a link to Twitter.
There's a link to Twitter.
Do I stop streaming? Is that the only way that people are ever going to leave me alone? Alinity breaks down in tears after revealing how much internet hate has affected her. Look,
I mean,
she
she
it's
cops it.
self-inflicted. Yeah, she cops it, but it's fucking self-inflicted, man. It's
Yeah, I
self-inflicted.
Scarlett's responded. He says, "Shouldn't have yeeted your cat."
Shouldn't have gone after PewDiePie. Fucking idiot.
yeah. I mean, that's the
For
thing.
basically nothing. Like really for nothing.
Yeah, you got to do like the redemption arc on the internet is very difficult to pull off. Very, very difficult to pull off. You sort of, I can't think of somebody in recent memory who has successfully like flipped the script.
PewDiePie.
I mean,
He hasn't really done anything that bad, has he? Like he hasn't done anything wrong. enough.
well, he went from screamy horror YouTuber to commentaries pretty successfully. But I don't know if that's like a redemption arc. That's more like a transition of sorts.
yeah.
From the bridge incident, I think
Oh yeah, for
that's-
the no, you're
More so.
right. He did. Yeah. The PUBG bridge incident.
I think most
be-
of the people who jumped on that, they were people who didn't really like him to begin with, and then when they saw that, they were like, "Yes, he fucked up. Yeah, now we can get rid of him."
Yeah.
With all those
And-
fake news articles as well.
Yeah,
That's-
like I didn't
he's-
really before any of that. I didn't really care too much about his content, and that
He's
kind of
still-
made
yeah.
me look into it a bit closer and start watching his commentary stuff. And this, I don't know, I found value in his content, I guess.
Yeah, he still gets shit for that from mainstream media. By the
Yeah,
way,
I bet.
like
It's never going to go away.
Yeah, well, every time he gets brought on for like a TV series or a documentary or something, they're like, PewDiePie to star a new documentary despite anti-Semitic past. And you're like, oh, good, thank you. Thank you, Ed Garino from the Washington Turbo Post or wherever the fuck you're from. BuzzFeed Next.
Washington Turbo Post. The fuck?
Like the Washington
fuck does
Post,
that
but
mean?
turbo.
Turbo.
I don't know. Maybe
Is
it's
it
a
supposed
car
to be like the
magazine.
news done fast? He just smashes like 3 darker sides and then starts talking. All right, I'm ready to go.
Okay, I would watch that though. Like if somebody gave me all the world news I needed in like 4 minutes at lightning pace, I would be okay with that.
I mean, that's easy to do. You can do that in a few seconds. He just holds up a piece of paper and goes, "Shit is fucked up. Good night." That's it.
Shit's fucked up. Bye, thanks. Yeah, so she was saying that she's got a lot of hate on the internet, and a lot of people aren't buying it.
It did seem like the very immature, fake high school girl cry. Mm-hmm. What am I supposed to do?
I watched the clip a couple times because I was like, I wonder, like, this could be genuine. She probably is feeling a bit fucking low about it, but
Yeah.
the way that it comes across is like, guys, what? Like when she said, "What am I gonna do?" It's like, what do you mean? What are you gonna do? This fucking like, you've still got so many simps sending you money. They're doing it as you are sitting there crying. They're still donoing and getting this shit read out. Like, you're not gonna hurt for money. Like maybe you'll drop a little bit because sponsors and shit might start to reconsider things, but you're always gonna have that fucking crowd of simps throwing their cash at you.
And I mean, like, I'm gonna do the devil's advocate thing here, right?
Gotta
In the
do
same instance, but like, imagine inserting yourself into a Twitter fight, right? Now I'm talking about the XQC Ninja family
Oh my
situation
God,
here,
that's
where like
hilarious.
two papagas are just going at it on Twitter, right? He's like, "Oh, you buy your Gucci handbag," and she's like, "I can buy a Gucci handbag." Me, right? Like the most bullshit argument, right? Ninja has to get involved, right? Because it's his wife, right? He has to go and defend her, right? And then people are like, "Oh, Ninja's a simp." It's his fucking wife. Of course he's going to go in there.
I just like to
just-
picture him sitting there next to her, like trying to eat his fucking breakfast or whatever in peace. And she's like, "You see what's happening here? You're not going to say anything?" It's like, "Oh, fuck me. Like, why do I have to?"
The angry French man
You
is
did
yelling
this.
at me again.
You fucking did this. Why are you dragging me into it?
Yeah, so he like, gets out of his chair. He's like, "God damn it, I'm gonna get on Twitter then." He like goes over to his like Ninja Dojo or whatever, fires up his keyboard, and he's like, "XQC, listen."
I like to
man,
think that he
stop
turned on
being-"
all his PCs and his lights and everything together. He turned everything on. Didn't even use his phone. He's like, "Oh, this is serious.
Puts
I
his
need my
headband
keyboard."
on.
like cracks his knuckles. He's like, "Let's go."
Checks the camera, make sure his hair's fucking right and everything. Make sure the color.
He sits down, right? Types out, "Listen, man, can you just chill the hell out, right?" XQC is like, right? And then Alinity
caps.
sees this and she's like, "If I side with XQC, right, who is like the internet's golden child right now, right? Because at the moment, XQC's fan base is at the point where you just don't win a fight against XQC, right? Like there is just a horde of like 13, 14-year-olds who will just, call your mum everything under the sun. Like it doesn't matter if you are correct. It doesn't matter if your argument is better put. You will lose, right? You just can't pick a fight with XQC at the moment. So Alinity jumps up. She goes, I'm going to be on XQC's side because then I'll be fine, right? And then catches the fucking haymaker from Ninja, who wasn't even supposed to be there in the first place. He just gets dragged into it. And that's the tweet that gets liked the most. Like, out of this whole Twitter fight, right? XQC's like, oh, you're a leech it off Ninja. And everyone's like, oh, in the back. And then she's like, oh, you're being a little bit sexist. And all the, LGBT community are like, oh. Ninja gets in and he's like, hey, back off my wife. People are like, oh shit, Ninja's here. Alinity comes over and they're like, oh, don't you have a cat to abuse? And that's it. That's the game winning match. That's the hit right there. Like you gotta feel for her just like a touch. I mean, should she have inserted herself into that drama? Probably not. But if you think that like it's a Twitter beef between the biggest creators in the Twitch sphere, and Alinity's the one that cops it the hardest. I thought that was extraordinary. I'd never seen anything like that.
I just how he was like he had to get involved because like he would have been already just like I like to imagine these like just crusty old dude who's just like fuck's sake I got to come in and split this fucking fight up. Listen here, you fucking idiots. And then Alinity just pops up to his left. He's like, and now this bitch. It's like, it's the darkest timeline when Ninja is the rational and reasonable voice. like I didn't want to think about that.
That's sitting and screaming at kids on Fortnite. What the fuck do you say to me, you little shit? That's the voice of reason. That's the resident, father figure in this argument.
Also, I like at the end, in that clip, in that Twitter post, I don't know if you've watched the whole thing, but she talks about like mistakes that I made in the past. It's like, listen, you don't.
Come on.
Okay.
It's a stretch.
So you've done a few things that people have seen on stream. In that, like when people see that shit on stream, if you'll do that on camera when you know there's people watching you, we start to speculate. We start to wonder what you're like off camera to those cats.
Yeah, well, see,
it can't be any better.
Yeah, a lot of people remember the fact that she like yeeted her cat, right? But I think if anybody that's owned cats will know that cats will just land on their feet. Like they kind of just don't care. I think the vodka part is the part that people remember.
How old is the cat though? How old is the cat?
He's an adult cat. Like, and he ended up getting his revenge. Little Milo. He took a good chunk out of her arm.
He fucking held onto it for a sec, yeah. So, yes, cats land on their feet, but also as they start to get old, they start to have normal fucking problems, like pet problems. They get arthritis. They have like fucking worn out joints and shit. Like, you can't just throw them over the top of your chair like that.
Yeah.
You can still fucking hurt them. They'll land on their feet, but
their ankles will be broken afterwards. Like.
Well, you'll cause them pain, and then they will fucking hate you even more if they don't already.
That's true. You'll bite more bits of her arm.
Well, I mean, there's that. There's the vodka. What other fucking things? Are those the only two?
Yeah.
I doubt it.
What else? Bloody Doc is still banned.
Yeah,
still.
There is like more. I tell you what, the insane thing about the Doc ban has been the conspiracy theories. Was like insane. It's like Slasher was like, look, for several hours now I've been told from credible sources the reason Dr. Disrespect has been banned. However, due to the importance and sensitivity around the subject, I've refrained from going on it. I don't feel comfortable with it currently. What the hell kind of... What kind of reason invokes that kind of reaction from somebody?
Legal.
It'd have to be, right?
It has to be a legal reason.
Because whatever it is, they're suppressing the knowledge of the reason he's getting banned because the knowledge as to why he would get banned is going to do damage, right? That's the only reason. So then people that would expose that would then be subject to further legal action.
Yeah.
Most there was the classic. It was a sexual assault issue. which
Well,
is
it
sort
could
of
also
been
be
debunked.
his source. Like, he might also just be trying to protect his source, because if only like a handful of people know, or if Twitch have told a different individual story to each person they've told,
Which is not uncommon.
yeah, that person could get caught out. Like Slasher comes out and says, "Yeah, it's this reason," and Twitch, Twitch are like, "All right, fucking
Righto.
Gary,
Gary,
see ya."
execute him. That's it. Yeah. It would be, So, Doc's
Did you
still
guys see-
banned.
He's gonna have to
Sorry?
wait.
Oh, sorry. Did you guys see the Twitch streamer who's also like a lawyer going through the Twitch terms of service,
No,
making
I
a
think
conspiracy
there's a
theory about
couple
why
of
he's
them.
banned? Yeah,
Yeah.
they were talking. He was talking about how like Twitch at any time can just suspend his account, bring up evidence later, and they sort it out confidentially in person, and that's why there's no reason and why he's been notified or not been notified as to why, but because
Yeah.
they need to sort it out privately and confidentially before going into any courts or anything like that.
yeah. So
Yeah,
they
it's-
would know why they're doing it, but they're not going to tell him. They're going to wait until. That just seems like there must be something really fucking bad if they're like, well, this is like one of our biggest individual like sources of income. We're just going to can him completely, refund all his subs. Imagine how much money that would have cost them to refund all those subs too. Refund every single one of his subs.
Easy.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, what? He sits at what, 30,000 subs?
More than that, I think.
Let's see. Current number one subscribe channel. Because Doc's got to be like, what, 3 or 4, right?
You might not get accurate numbers on it anymore because it's already.
Yeah, we'll get a ballpark result.
Last known
Twitch
amount.
subs, Twitch tracker subs count. So Nick Merckx is sitting at 52K, completely blitzing XQC at 36K. So Nick has got a really large margin, putting him at number 1 right now. XQC's at 30. Ronnie Radke is apparently number 3 with 33,000. I don't know who that guy is. Tim the Tapman, 31. Summit, 31. Glad, the Destiny streamer, 30 flat. The Real Knossi, 26. TP at 24. Bobby Poff Gaming, 24. And the Doc at 10. There you go. So the
What,
Doc
10?
had... at 10. He went down 5 slots. So the Doc was at 23,721 subs. So if we go blah, 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 maths, $118,000.
Jesus.
Yikes. That's
that
a
all
big
at
hit
tier
for
1?
Twitch.
That's good question.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's
Oh,
just
wow.
like,
Yeah, never
at
mind. 88 of those are tier 3s and 197 are tier 2s. So maybe
Yeah.
sit it at what? 130, 140?
Yeah, whatever it is, it's a decent amount of money. I suppose it might not be that much for Twitch, really. Like, I mean, if they're willing to give that up, and then can any future income from him for now, it has to be something serious. It has to be a legal thing. It has to be something that was going to cost them money to keep him on the platform. Like, too much. It was going to cause them too many headaches, or
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do in the end.
the timing as well. I feel like a lot of people were speculating, oh, maybe this is coming back from his fucking unfaithful thing to his wife from last year. Because of the whole
Not,
fucking...
yeah, but not if his wife is being that supportive on Instagram.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, you'd expect her to be.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, what was it, the day of or day after she posted something saying thanks for all the support, blah, blah, blah.
Once it comes out, I think I'm going to be like disappointed in whatever the result is, because I've always had these like wild ideas trying to figure out what it was, speculating, and then it's going to come out and be something really benign, like he signed a contract with another streaming service.
He
or
breached
something.
his contract with us, and that's it. That's all it was.
Yeah, and it's like, oh wow, like why wasn't he like a terrorist in disguise? Why wasn't he trying a hostile takeover of Twitch? Is the Champions Club now like a whole bunch of sleeper agents? Like, wanted a cool reason like that.
Yeah, it has to be like there has to be NDAs or something. There has to be something going on that no one will fucking talk about it, or else someone would have let slip by now.
Well, it's been kept from the Twitch safety and discipline team or whatever it is.
So the order came from higher than them.
It came from higher up.
Yeah,
Even the higher ups don't know about this one, James.
I wonder
it's
if
on a
he's
need-to-know basis.
upset someone because like
It's no secret that some of the like Twitch staff, like the higher up ones, are fucking fragile people.
What if,
so he might have fucking upset one of them. He's offended one of them. They're like, you know what? Fuck that guy. Get rid of him.
What if the chick that he cheated on Mrs. Disrespect with was like Emmett Shear's wife or something like that? And he's just like, yep, that's it. Now I know we're going to get him.
He's the last one to find out, so he's fucking red in the face. Everyone else, we thought you knew.
But Eyeho1eman, we had you on today as like a guest, and then I think we just went 50 minutes and just did our usual thing.
Oh, just talking shit. I know, I love it.
I feel like we should like ask you some stuff. Like you said, you're an audio engineer, right?
Correct.
So how do you get into that field? How do you end up there?
Well, I ended up there because I was a musician when I was younger, guitarist in bands, and got really interested in technology. And you know what? Audio engineering. Someone had to mix the live show, and it's happened to be me in our band.
This is more your field. This is more your field. So I'm a little bit out of the loop when it comes.
Not
to
so much live
music.
stuff, but like home shit. Yeah. So I mean, so he's talking more about like mixing, balancing, blah blah blah. Whereas what I did when I got into guitars and started playing with people was a bit different. It was more, for me, it was more like I just became interested in the gear and like how to make shitty guitars sound better because, you know, we're all fucking broke teenagers. So we could buy it, we bought what we could afford and then had to make it sound good.
Somehow.
Somehow. So that's sort of how I started doing all that sort of shit. And I would spend like $200 or $300 on a guitar and a few bits and pieces and then get it to play and sound really good. And that was sort of my reputation among my friends.
So for somebody that doesn't have a music background, explain what an audio engineer does. Like how do they identify the presence of an audio engineer? Like
You just look at the back of the room and go, hey, you're the sound guy, play some Slayer. It's always that guy.
Right, okay.
It's kind of like a DJ, but for bands that can't do it themselves.
Right, okay. So I know when I'm streaming, right, I'll have to manage like channels for like my mic input, for instance, and then I'll mess with like, you know, bass or treble or something like that to change the way that my voice sounds. Is that something an audio engineer will do?
Exactly what they do. It's dynamics processing, it's tonal processing, also effects processing. If you want to look at like reverbs, you know, a lot of gamers have voice mod, and they use that same thing. Audio engineers touch with dynamics and effects like that as well.
Okay. And have you done any like streaming or content creation before?
Yes, I was a music producer independently. I was a free agent, I guess you could say. Doing a lot of kind of country folk stuff, jazz. I've done metal, punk. It's all on my website there. Shameless plug.
I don't even know you had one. We go look for that now.
It's just I saw
and you can drop
Productions.
it in podcast links if you want.
Yeah, we'll drop it in at the end there. And doing music production is very... It is chasing the perfect song. I've always liked radio edits for everyone's favorite songs, especially in the 90s. That happened a lot.
Yeah.
It's all about chasing like what makes the song catchy and what makes it sound good and just make it a hit song. And that's the most fun for me. It's like a lot of people and a lot of songwriters are just like, oh man, this song's amazing. Like all these lyrics and blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, cool. But it goes for 20 minutes and I'm bored.
Yeah.
So, do you? I mean, obviously, like, it seems like a bit of a lofty question, but what do you think the perfect song looks like? Do you think is it 2 minutes? Is it 4 minutes long? Does it have guitars? Does it have drums? Like, is that something you can nail down, or you think it's just going to hit you when it rocks up?
It depends on the style, obviously, but for me, it's just if it stays in your head and everybody loves it and it's catchy, you've hit the nail on the head. Because that's the whole purpose of it, is just to spread virally. And memes do it because they're hilarious, so why not a song do it because it's catchy?
So, Aqua's Barbie Girl. Let's take that, for instance.
Yeah, but okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Great
so
song.
We would put that up there with perfect songs?
If you're into that style of music, yeah. It's always assumed. Yeah.
Very diplomatic answer. Very, very diplomatic answer.
I can neither confirm nor deny I like that song.
So you didn't do audio engineering per se, though. Maybe you got into it a little bit, but didn't really like sort of professionally get down. Like didn't 100% go in. I'm trying to understand this from outside the music world. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to piece it together.
It started off as like, okay, someone needs to record our songs and someone needs to do the live show for high school. But then after high school, it became, okay, I'm doing qualifications and doing this professionally. So I did TAFE and then did the Bachelor in Audio Engineering post-production at SAE Institute. SAE Institute is a creative media institute. It started off as purely just sound engineering. It's SAE stands for School of Audio Engineering. Right. But they've since merged with Quantum College so that you're working with film students and gaming students and development and design and web design and animation, and it's pretty crazy actually.
So is it like a gig economy where it'll be like, hey, we've got one band that needs to record an album, let's do that? Or is it like you work Monday to Friday and then it's just whoever's there to do whatever, you just work on that?
Yeah, it's very much a gig economy, but it depends what branch you go to. Because of all the different things you can do with audio, you can work in film or games or music. It's more than like a 9 to 5. There's a lot of things where you are just a freelancer looking for work. And if you can line up weeks or months of bookings for your own studio, or you've booked out a studio and you're just the producer for that band, then you're really lucky. That's really hard to do.
Yeah.
So people that work 9 to 5.
You want to be the guy.
Yeah, you want to be the guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But for the people that work 9 to 5, doing audio engineering, they're the kind of people that work at radios,
TV and stuff.
Yeah, TV, like where there's always a set roster, basically. There's a set project every day.
Like, what is it? Hamish and Andy, they've got the guy off to the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget what his name, they mentioned him. Jack.
Yeah.
See, that's
he's got a sweet gig now.
If you've ever I've talked about it before, I think on the podcast, but the Dick Show, so Dick Masterson's podcast, his co-host Sean, he is his audio engineer, and he talks about working in like TV and stuff because that's like his day job during the week. He does the podcast with Dick on weekends, and he talks about a lot of that stuff. Not in too much detail. I feel like he tries to protect, like he doesn't want to upset anyone and risk his job, not getting work.
Which is perfectly fair. That's I can see why you would do that.
Yeah. Because what you're describing, it sounds like what he's saying, where it's like it's hard to, but you want to be that guy. You want to be the guy to go to because there's not a lot of like spots for that kind of work. Is that
very
sort of
niche
how it
field.
is? Like it's kind of like those kind of jobs are hard to land, and if you get them, you've got to kind of try hard to hold on to them.
You got to try really hard to hold on to them.
Yeah,
because one fuck up, you're done. You're done.
Yeah, especially if it's live, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, you can't go back and fix this. You fucked it.
Yeah, because it sounds to me like one of those jobs where I think if you're very much in the industry, you'll have an appreciation for someone that does that job very, very well. But maybe if you're not, you're only really going to notice if it's wrong.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like, if you don't notice, they're doing a great job for the vast majority of people. But once you're in that circle, you'll be able to absolutely tell the difference.
100%. It's very much a trained ear, very acquired taste sort of job.
I've also personally noticed like a lot of guys, like I'm starting to understand that. Well, I think that you're one of them as well. But a lot of like the audio guys, we're not people who are just like, yeah, I like things to sound good. They're really fucking into like it has to sound as close to perfect as we can get it. And people come to expect that. Yeah, people come to expect that when they watch movies or TV or whatever. So like they'll never comment like, oh, the audio is really good. The voices are well mixed. They never think of that. They just go. They only ever notice, like you said, when something's wrong. Like when oh, why the fuck are the voices so low? Why is that guy louder than the other guy? Like
yeah.
guitars are too quiet in this track. Like they only ever comment on shit that's wrong. They will never notice something that's mixed, like perfectly. Like everything's correct.
It's pretty crazy. In my course, they were talking about doing sound design for film, and it was a strange saying. It's like audio engineers and sound designers are to be heard but not heard, and what he meant was like make all the right sounds so that you're not noticed.
Yeah. So it all makes sense. Like nothing. Yeah, right. Was there? Do you have like a gig that was like your favorite job that you did as an audio engineer? Like, do you have the one that you give the gold star?
Yeah, I was an assistant engineer for a compilation album. It was called Sounds of the Southwest, and Western Australian Music funded it. Right. And to work alongside two of WA's biggest producers to do that album it was a pretty good job. I learnt a lot.
Who were the producers? Are they people that we would know?
Or no, because these guys are they don't advertise on like your average music magazine. Oh, come record at my studio. They're very word of mouth. Right. So Noah Shilkin and Dom Monteleone, they're so word of mouth that you can only record in their studios as if you know them personally, or you know someone that knows them that knows them.
I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy.
Yeah. And he's like... The guy Dom has got the biggest collection of vintage audio equipment, like tape machines and Neve consoles, and these microphones worth $10,000. And I'm like, I'm creaming in my pants thinking about it.
We were talking about this when we talked about Mick Gordon.
Yeah.
Because blokes like him and like if you've ever watched Deadmau5's streams when he creates music, they've just got piles and piles of hardware that just like lines their walls. And it's just like, oh, what do you use this for? Oh, this is like a $40,000 machine that produces a very specific sound. And you're like, okay, what's this one? He goes, oh, that's another $60,000 machine. And it produces pretty much the same sound, but ever so slightly different. And you can't do that with a different machine. And you're like, oh, that's just the same thing for $500,000 worth of equipment that lines this room.
No, a lot of those, like the reason that those guys chase that old equipment is not because they make a particular sound. It's because they react differently to inputs, and like it's really hard to explain to someone who isn't into audio. But
I guess you could say they buy, okay, well, it depends what you're buying. If it's an instrument, it's unique in its own way. So Deadmau5 has bought all these different like synths and stuff, but it was more so because of how unique they were at the time, and you can't get them anymore. Yeah. And they can't be recreated. Whereas if it comes to like audio equipment, like a preamp where you plug your microphone into it, the amount of character you get out of it is so unique per preamp that every preamp on the same box on the same piece of equipment is different. So that's why they buy it for tonal options, I guess. But it does get ridiculous how expensive it is. Like, you buy one preamp for $20,000 and you got to buy 8 of them just to record some drums.
I feel like a way to explain that to someone who isn't into that equipment is like this mic preamp will make your mic sound this particular way, and you can't EQ it out. It doesn't sound It doesn't sound clear. It's not going to make your voice sound like you're sitting in the room with the person. It's going to make it sound this particular way always, no matter what you do to it. And to a lot of people who aren't into the audio shit, they're like, why would you want something that makes it sound different or wrong? Why wouldn't you want something that sounds like accurate, perfectly accurate? And it's hard to explain why you want that. It's the same thing, I think, with amps. I think guitar amps are like that.
Yeah.
Like some of the Mesa stuff, like four to five, in some cases $7,000 just for the head, and all it is like some preamps and a power amp. And
so hang on, you're gonna have to break this down for me because I'm starting to. Yeah, see, like even with this stuff, I start to phase out because we've had this conversation before where Titan and my stream are two sort of like they're almost two different worlds in a way. Where Titan's is very much audio focused. All of his stuff is balanced out. The music that he picks is very specific. He's got this very big focus on audio, whereas I'll have more of a focus on visual, and that's in part because I just have no clue what I'm doing with audio. Right, like I have like my I've got my microphone set up and my amp and stuff, but this was all set up like with like a day with Jim. We sat down and I like turned my mic on and he was like, nope, and we just kept going until he goes, yeah, fine. But yeah, like it's interesting to me to hear all this stuff because it's matters of like it's all like razor thin margins to get it all like lined up and perfect, and I think if you're not listening for that, you can sometimes miss it, if that makes sense.
I think a lot of people do miss it. Like they don't, like when after we set all your shit up and it sounded like, I didn't just say, yeah, okay, that sounds okay. I said, yep, like those settings, whatever you've done, because I was like trying to explain to you what to change, and you were like, where do I find that? I'm like, oh god, this is gonna take fucking forever. It's such a basic fucking thing. It's such a basic mixer, and like you've got nothing else plugged into it that you're balancing. Anyway, we got it to sound right. We got it sounding how it should. And then your first stream with it, everything's perfect. I come back to your next stream after that, you fucked with it. You changed things. And I'm like, what did you do to it? And you're like, oh, I just like, I thought I'd give it a little bit more.
with it.
I'm like, no. It was like, imagine me going to like Eyeho1eman coming here and setting all this shit up. And then after he leaves, I'm like, I'm just going to change this and this and this. And he comes to my stream and goes, why did you change that? We had it correct.
Yeah, I can imagine that. It was, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just so cool to think about. Like, I'm one of those dudes where I feel like if I'm listening to somebody talk about something that they're passionate about, I'll be like, yo, let me soak up the knowledge. Like, let me learn. Because it's like, it's interesting because I've never heard about it before, right? Like, I have trouble, listening to someone teach like physics or maths or something, right? Because it's like, oh yeah, numbers. I've done numbers before. I understand numbers. And they're like, here is different stuff about numbers. And I'm like, okay, this is boring me now. Whereas with sound, it's like this magical land where they have all these other different languages and they talk about different stuff. And I'm like, there's a thing called a preamp. what does that do? And so it's like kind of like the discovery is half the fun. I mean, I have a little bit of knowledge now that I do streaming and stuff. Like I know, that when the, like peaking is bad. So when the levels go to red, I'm like, that's not a good thing, and so my knowledge is very like limited in the grand scheme of things.
I think audio is something you can kind of get away with, not knowing everything though. Like, I mean, I've been playing on and off for like 15 years. I still have no fucking idea what a presence knob on an amp does. I just know that it makes it sound different. And I'm like, whenever I fuck with it, I'll just turn it until it sounds how I want it to. I'm like, yep, that's it. I'm leaving it there. I don't know how the fuck this thing's working. Yeah, but I've looked it up before and I've read it. I'm like, I still don't understand. I still don't know how this fucking works.
That's like me with electricity, man. Like I have like voltage and amperage explained to me all the time. And then they'll talk about like how to calculate it and whatnot. and I'm sitting here and I'm like, I still don't understand the difference. Like
That
people
guy
be like,
I work with does that to me. He starts explaining how relays work. I'm like, dude, you've lost me already. Like,
yeah. Like my dad talks about it all the time. I'm like, hey, how does electricity work? He's like, well, it's kind of like water pressure, and amperage is the pressure of the water. And I'm like, okay, I heard what you said, and I understand the words, but I still have no fucking clue what that means.
is he saying like volts is like volume and then amperage is the pressure?
Yes.
Like a small, yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
What do you mean? It doesn't.
I understand exactly what you're saying, right? And the equal signs are popping up in my head, but I just
so
can't
imagine
visualize
this then.
that.
So a hose,
No,
just a straight up hose with no
wanna
like
learn about it.
no nozzle on the end of it. Turn the hose on, and the water's just kind of like lazily coming out. It's not going to go very farther, right? So that'd be like higher volts with lower amperage. But
Yes.
if you're standing there, fucking pissing over a fence, an arc that's like way over your head. That's low volume. That's low volts, but high amperage.
How do you piss? Why are you getting that sort of like above your head?
Pressure.
What do you got? Like a stainless steel bowl? Is the porcelain gonna crack? What?
No, I'm saying like if you're
That's
pissing
insane.
over the fence into the neighbour's yard. Never mind.
Your neighbours are like going and checking their trees tomorrow. Holy moly!
Oh dear.
Why is my
Well, there you
aloe vera
go.
plant dying?
Well, so what do you reckon, Eyeho, before we start wrapping things up here? If you had to grade some of the audio quality you've heard in Jim or my stream recently, what do you think out of 10?
No.
Out of 10.
Out of 10. Because it's in the context of streaming, there's not really a lot you can do.
Okay.
Because like the thing about streaming is that you're sitting at a desk and your voice bouncing off of the desk is enough to annoy me. And it annoys me right now. I would say Jim's, yours is a 9 out of 10. And Hamish, I reckon an 8 out of 10.
Oh, dude, that's
pretty
very
solid.
generous. I was expecting a 3. Oh, I was
It wasn't expecting a 9. I still haven't moved my fucking stuff around where I want it to.
What do you think is something that you wish most streamers did to improve their audio? Do you think there's something that a lot of people don't do you wish they did?
Yeah, just have the microphone closer to your mouth. Like fucking XQC's stream and his audio it frustrates me because it's not in his face. So you just get all of the sound of the room behind him. But you know what? That's good. That's good for his style though. Like it's a scuffed camera, it's a scuffed microphone. Yeah.
As well,
If he was screaming into the microphone, if it was right in front of his face, it would be ear rape. Straight up ear rape. So it's probably a good thing. But yeah, straight up, just have your mouth closer to the microphone to get that proximity effect. So you get like that radio tone, radio voice.
And so you obviously, like you said, you could hear my voice bouncing against my desk. How would
I can
you
also
solve
hear
an
it
issue
bouncing
like
off of the room
I think
as
it's
well.
your wall, dude. Yeah.
that? I have a very empty room, so it makes a lot of sense. It's all hard surfaces as well, so it's like tiles and Besser block.
Yeah, so I can hear it like in the room, like bouncing off the walls, but I can hear it through your desk. Just it's a certain mid-range frequency at about 240 hertz going through your microphone arm.
God damn shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Righto.
yeah. It sometimes it comes from the springs on your microphone arm as well. If they're not muted properly, they vibrate through the microphone.
because he's got that road arm that has like the big circle fucking things instead of the spring.
Yeah. So that's why I know that it's your desk resonating.
Yeah. I have the springs on mine, but I've got like rubber bands all over them to try and deal with
I've
it.
got Velcro ties around mine. I've adapted an IKEA lamp stand to hold my microphone. So,
Fucking hell.
that's how cheap I went.
How would you go about fixing something like that?
Well, the sound in your desk, or
Yeah, well, let's go with that.
all right. Well, for that one, I would say you just get a traditional mic stand that you use on stage. It's got a boom mic arm,
right.
and then because that mounts to your floor onto carpet, it's completely decoupled and isolated from anything else in the room, and it's its own freestanding thing. As for the sound in your room, just put some foam up on the walls, I reckon.
Yeah, and I've noticed that there's a difference between noise cancelling foam and certain foams that are better for not bouncing sound.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard this before because they come in like the little pyramid shapes.
Yeah, they're broadband absorbers, they're called. They're tuned for a certain range of frequencies.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I think, I might look at it once I move, which is in about 6 months' time, so sorry. But I like the room that I'm in now, because I'm out in the middle of nowhere, it's just like this, oh God, what, probably like 4 meter square room, maybe? And it's all tiles and rendered Besser block. So it's very echoey compared to my bedroom I had in Brisbane, which was carpeted and much smaller. But I think once we move, because Red's going to want to go to uni, so we might end up in Brisbane or something like that. And I think the plan is to maybe get like a house. Like if we rent, then we rent, but we might end up like seeing if we can like buy a house. Presently saving to see if that can be a thing. And if that's the case, then I'll just go hell for leather. I'll
do whatever.
start hanging shit up, putting foam up, like bloody, whatever.
Number one tip that I'll give you is put your when you're putting your foam up, put your foam onto like a single bit of plywood, like just a single ply.
Yep.
Use liquid nails, and then just use the Commando Velcro strips to put it onto the wall.
Yes. Yeah.
That way it's not as permanent, but it also leaves like a 5 mil gap between the wood and the wall, so you can actually trap a wider range of frequencies.
There you go. So it's like almost like air insulation in a way.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
There you go. So it's a little bit more mobile, and it got added effectiveness.
Yeah, that gap between the wall is definitely helpful because your foam's good for higher frequencies, but for mid frequencies, they kind of pierce through that, and same with bass frequencies.
Yeah, I'm finding a lot with audio that having things disconnected is a good thing.
Yeah.
Like having
Separated.
Yeah, exactly. So like, because things will travel through shit,
Yeah.
and if you break up that path, they don't make it all the way. So,
Well, even shit like you wouldn't think about, like having your mixer plugged into the same power board as something else, like that's not grounded properly, like your monitors can cause issues. Just all sorts of dumb shit like that. Introduce like buzzing noises and stuff.
Yeah, ground loop hum, I think you're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
I have so
man's
many
got the name
fucking
for it.
things to try and deal with that here, but there's because of the way, there's only like one power point in the wall that has 2 spots, so there's only so much I can do to try and isolate it.
The worst thing for me is whenever I'm recording my guitar, if I'm sitting too close to the PC, I pick up all that computer noise in there.
Yeah.
So I have to like record across the room so that I'm not making any noise through my guitar. It's really annoying, actually.
So I found how to deal with that. If I plug straight into like just 1/4 inch either end, or fucking TRS or fucking whatever, straight into the front of one of the Focusrites, I have that noise. I have that buzzing noise. But if I go into the pod on the floor and then use one of the XLR outs on that into the front of the Scarlett, it's gone.
That's because of the XLR
Extra
is a
grounding.
balanced cable.
Yeah. I
actually-
don't want to use the pod for that, but I want to get rid of
You
it
have to.
completely off the floor, but I have to use it so that the noise isn't there.
Yeah. Another way you could do it is just get a DI and then put that where your pod is. That will do the same thing. Will convert your signal into an XLR.
Yeah, I've been looking at that actually too, because this fucking thing, it's a HD 500X, so it's one of those big metal case things, and I'm
The
constantly
big red
kicking-
one.
No, it's a black
Not
one.
the red one?
I think the red one was
yeah,
the
no,
live,
black one.
wasn't it? The X3
Yeah,
live or something.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and it's a for 500X, so it's big fucking metal case thing, and I'm constantly kicking my fucking toes on it, man. And it's very unforgiving. It doesn't budge. It's just,
All right. Well,
It's time to fuck off.
It's time to. Well, we can read some comments before we go.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
Ironically, Eyeho1eman, you're ordinarily the bloke in the comments.
Yeah,
So,
funny about that. Yeah.
I think reading yourself is a little bit narcissistic. But I've got a couple of comments here. One's from Crazy Aussie. One's from Robin Carlson and Philip Sanford. The Crazy Aussie comments are always a pleasure to read because he writes his comments as he listens to the podcast. Like
Yeah,
it's
and
like
at the
it's
end
like
you
he
must press
takes
reply.
notes. Yeah, so you sort of have to just chronologically line it up with what you think you said in the podcast, and it's pretty good. So I mean, if you want, man, you could read the comment this week if you like. I feel like that would be cool.
No.
No? All right. I'm going to read Crazy then.
All right, you read it.
He must have done something big if his subs are getting cancelled. Are they getting refunded? Yes,
That's
they
in
are.
reference
They've
to the
already,
doc. They are getting refunded. Yeah.
She's probably like, hey, Dave, this dickhead came and ordered 24 nuggies and a chocolate sundae. Yeah, that's me.
That's you and your ranch sauce.
Well, I mean, she didn't know I had ranch at home.
Yeah. For those of you that didn't listen last week, he went and got 24 nuggets without any sauce, and then he ordered a chocolate sundae just to weird out the person in the drive-thru.
After she asked me if I wanted sauce, I said no, but I'll have a large chocolate sundae, please.
Get wrecked.
Regarding the ninja looting stuff, it's a big deal in the WoW community. It happens all the time. People that do it in higher end guilds get recognized and will usually be avoided when getting members for another raid. Probably get blacklisted.
Yeah, so again, something from, well, this is all going to be from last week, but ninja looting is a practice in WoW where they take all the loot before it can be distributed fairly. And once you get up into the, upper echelons of neckbeard raiding in World of Warcraft, you begin to be recognized for it, and people will avoid you, which is pretty insane to think
fair.
that it's such
No,
a
it's
tight-knit
fair.
community. Oh, it's absolutely
It's
fair.
fair.
But I just think that that's insane that that's such a tight-knit community that can be done effectively and consistently, And we kind of saw that with Wreckful this week as well. Did you see all the memorials in World of Warcraft? That's insane. It was great. For those of you who don't know, Wreckful was a really big streamer, tragically passed away due to suicide very recently. And people inside World of Warcraft were gathering inside of the cathedrals in-game just as like a memorial to him. And there were huge memorials across servers. So there were big ones like Fairlena, which is like the streamer server for Classic WoW, had like 300-400 people inside the cathedral. And then they just did that and there were heaps across servers, and everyone was just using like the sitting emote inside the cathedral. It was really, really cool. It's the biggest player-driven event in World of Warcraft history, is the Wreckful Memorial, which is pretty insane to think.
There were even
lot of
streamers
fucking
just
players.
ending their sponsored streams because they heard about the news.
Yeah, Asmongold took the entire revenue from the stream and redirected it to a suicide crisis helpline. Yeah, which was pretty cool. It was like 20 grand or something like that.
I did see that, actually. I saw
Which makes
that
you
one.
realize that Asmongold makes 20 grand a stream, and then you're kind of like, oh, wow. Okay.
That's humbling.
Let's keep going.
still-
He doesn't want
yeah.
anyone see. Oh wait, no. Yeah, 2K Australia was closed. Poor bastards. Are they the Borderlands team or?
Yeah, they're the Borderlands team. That was the Australian game studio. They were like our last bastion of good video game developers.
Yeah, that
I
wasn't
can
going to
remember.
last because our government doesn't
Yeah.
fucking care. He doesn't
Nah.
want anyone seeing his desk full of adult magazines. All those lawyers' mags,
They're called...
Scumbag Weekly.
No, it's not. It's got a really pretentious Latin name.
That doesn't sound right.
No, that would be terrible for a lawyer mag. I'll remember it in a second. Go on. Proctor. That's what they're called. Proctor.
Proctor.
That's the
Isn't
that's
that
the lawyer
fucking-
magazine.
Isn't that the dickhead from Police Academy?
Proctor, an officer, usually one or two at certain universities, having disciplinary functions. Jesus Christ.
Okay then.
Righto.
Oh man, I would have called it lines because then it relates to both suits and cocaine, which are things that lawyers seem to. What the fuck does he
Good
mean, netcode? Like, seriously, I think he's getting algorithm and the word netcode mixed up. This is the guy who's wanking his penis off to Twitch thoughts. How did he short the
that's
PC? He would have had to be jacking it over the top of an open side panel of a PC. Like, what the fuck? Guess that is Twitch's fault.
That's what we said. Like, the force to get it through one of the fan vents would have had to be incredible. For those who don't know, a guy is suing Twitch. He says that the exposure to all of the beautiful female streamers has caused him severe injury because he is forced to masturbate to a level that is dangerous.
Forced.
Yeah.
They're forcing me to masturbate until my dick goes necrotic.
They've
That's
got to
the
make
thing. He has to
gunpoint.
take medication. Yeah, gunpoint. Yeah.
If anyone came in and requested tech support claiming they jacked it into their PC, that would be it for me, I think.
I'm done.
Oh,
Yeah, he
shit.
follows like 706 female streamers and no male streamers. Like, you did it to yourself, kiddo. Like, don't tell us that it's our
Blame
fault.
everyone else. This is in relation to me saying that I might take my emotes down, put them on BTTV. No more Lennies in other Discord channels without Discord Nitro at least. I mean, I could just leave them up, but also make them available on BTTV. There's no reason to take them down. It's just
Not in Discord. You just have to replicate it in Discord if you wanted.
yeah. One more thing of note. Toward the end of the podcast, when you were reading the comments, I could hear Titan through your mic. This.
Ooh,
Uh-oh.
wow. Okay.
Time for new headphones.
Time for new. Oh, dude, have you
it's
seen
a
my
thing.
headphones on my streams?
Yeah.
That legitimately the left ear cup is entirely detached. The only thing that is securing it to my head right now is pressure.
Oh my
That's it.
goodness.
Yeah, but I got a message the other day that says my new set of headphones are on their way.
Nice.
So,
Well, what did you get?
Pair of SteelSeries Arctis Pros.
Ah.
So, yeah. Look,
No.
they got interchangeable batteries. I'm a
No.
fan.
Fair enough. Whatever's convenient. I mean, we're not having to listen to it, I guess. So I guess that's
Yeah,
fine.
it's not on our fucking head.
There you go.
I was getting ready to turn off the stream, and then Vis mentioned a punched lasagna. Jesus, man.
I got a PM about that.
Did you? From who?
Yeah. Somebody was like, I was about to go out when I had finished the podcast. I was about to turn it off, and then you made that joke about a punched lasagna, and I was laughing. I couldn't fucking.
Who sent
sort
that
it out.
to you? Do you want to say or not? You don't have to.
Oh, I won't embarrass them, but they sent me a message, and I was like, oh yeah, thanks, man.
That being said, it probably looks like that fleshlight that was taped to the exhaust of a car. Have you seen that? Revving the car and it's like flapping out everywhere. The most extreme queef you've ever seen in your life. Fucking like just.
And that's what the last comment's about. He talks about that one.
I'll let
Yeah.
you read Mono's. Sorry, Robin Carlson, but it's Mono.
By the way, if Killer drops coffee beans, is it Killer Coffee? It's a Tarkov joke for those of you out there.
I don't know if he ever drops the beans, does he? I don't think he ever has them.
They upped the drop rate on beans. I know that because there was a huge Twitter firestorm.
Yeah, because no one
about
could
it.
fucking find them.
Yeah, so they had to up the drop rate on the Lupo's beans. And Philip says, "Stop yawning, Vis. It's 12:30 a.m. and I'm barely into my shift. Where's your coffee sponsor?" Good mention. Maybe I'll get in contact with them over the next few days.
Oh, he did say,
I'll
well,
send-
after I said it's all fake, we're frauds, he said, as soon as you land that sponsor, I'll be the first to use your promo code. Do they ship to America? I don't even know.
I'm sure they would. I know they have free shipping inside Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, what? I don't think so. Do they?
Yeah.
Maybe
Oh,
Eastern
no.
States. I don't know.
I don't know. We'd have to have a look.
Fuck. It's been a while. I have that subscription just goes through and I don't check it anymore. So I don't. I just every now and then money comes out like, what the fuck happened? And I have a look. I'm like, oh, okay, it's my coffee. It's fine.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to do the outro now.
Yeah, okay.
If you guys want to yell at us on Twitter, there are links in the description. I just bumped my desk. You probably heard that, Eyeho1eman. There is links in the video and in the description. You can catch us on TITAN_5150 for Twitter for Titan or at Viscerous TV for me. Twitch is the same for me, and for Titan it's spelt with a 1. T1 TIN 5150 and no underscore because I can see it in front of me because it's in the YouTube vid and I can read it and I don't have to guess and get it wrong like I did 2 weeks in a row.
What about Eyeho1eman though?
Eyeho1eman, where can we find you, man?
You can find me on Twitch and Twitter. On Twitter, it's at Eyehole, except the L is a 1. And then on Twitch, it's Eyeho1eman, except the L is a 1.
We'll throw your links in the description as well.
Cool beans. Thanks, boys.
You can also listen to the NULLSCORE podcast on YouTube at the NULLSCORE channel. Feel free to sub if you have a listen, let the little community grow, and you can catch us on all good audio platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all that sort of business. Anything else you boys want to mention before we close it out?
I just
Killer
really want
coffee.
to laugh about that guy fucking just wanking his dick off again.
Maybe we'll have to mention
ridiculous
it.
to me.
We'll have to
If he had a
mention it in
dust
the
filter
outro.
on his PC, it would probably protect it.
God.
Guess you wouldn't call it a
All
dust
right.
filter anymore.
Look, it's a
though.
dust filter, not a fucking like.
Not a common
Not a
filter.
kid filter.
Doesn't protect against unborn children.
I need a prophylactic dust cover. That's what I need. All right.
fuck.
Roll the outro, Eddie. We'll catch you guys next time.
Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.
See ya.
Bye.
And now this is the part where we get to talk mad shit while the outro music plays. There you go, man. Was it everything that you ever dreamt of?
It's exactly what I expected. How about
I'm
that?
glad.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
You come in with low expectations, you can't be disappointed then.
Oh, I had very high expectations.
Oh, it was good, man. It was interesting learning about what you do for work and like how that affects stuff. It's cool because it's a perspective you don't have because you've got, like you said, a trained ear.
Yeah, it's a very niche community as well, I have to admit.
But it's needed. Like, it's just one of those
Someone's
things.
got to do it, right? So
It's not even someone's going to do it. It's like someone needs to do it. Like it's such an important part that goes missing, and unless you know about it, you forget about it. It's kind of like with law. Like there's so many things that I know that you have to do that a lot of people forget. Like
See, Eyeho1eman's like when you ask me about audio shit, and I'm like, man, I don't fucking know. Just like this and this, maybe. You should go ask Eyeho because he'll actually be able to tell you. Be like, no, that's wrong. Like it's sort of right, but also wrong.
That's wrong. Here's why it's wrong. Here's how you fix it.
do as I say, I'm always right.
And this is what it's called. Whereas I'm like, things sound go.
This is wrong. Let me just turn this dial. Oh, it's worse.
Yeah.
Oh, how do I edit undo? Oh, never mind.
Tighten the buzz things beeping.